Tim Prister with Tim O'Malley here in the Goog. Brian Kelly with his press conference here on Friday, March 1st, to kick off the start of spring drills. A couple position moves, probably the most significant one, Houston Griffith, who worked at nickel last year. He's going to play at the boundary corner. You and I talked about this, Tim. We think that's, instead of moving Troy Pride out of his comfort zone at the field and moving him to boundary, it looks like Houston Griffith and some other people are going to compete for that spot.
Plus, I think it's twofold. It's a position of need with losing Julian Love and Dante Vaughn out, Sean Crawford injured, and of not need because they have two safeties in Alohi Gilman, Jalen Elliott. We think Kyle Hamilton will come in and make us, obviously make his presence felt in the summer. There's no reason not to look at Griffith and see if he can play that spot. He was, as you said, nickel last year. He has the skills. I actually think probably both of us that he's better off at the boundary where he can be physical than in that nickel where it's a two-way go, and everybody struggles with that position.
No doubt. When you're a corner, you have the sideline as your ally, and I think Houston Griffith will be a better player there. Another interesting move that I don't think any of us expected, Avery Davis, former quarterback, now former running back, moving to the cornerback spot and competing there.
He'll compete at both. I think Brian Kelly kind of mentioned, look, two things. He's a winner, and his just tests off the charts with speed and quickness, so why not get him there? I don't know if ball security was the reason, but that's why he stopped playing last year, of course, against Stanford in kind of mop-up time. But they want to get him on the field. They probably feel like it might be a good sign for running back that they like Jafar Armstrong, Tony Jones, and think they can get a third guy out of the youngsters, and it is just wide open at corner, and I feel they have to think there's some uncertainty with Dante Vaughn. He did mention he'll be back in the fall, so they're obviously pointing towards that. But, coming off of injuries for two of your senior players and fifth-year players, you need to get all the talent you can at that spot.
Right. Another natural move, Chase Claypool moving from the X to the W to replace Miles Boykin. That will give guys like Michael Young, Kevin Austin, Joe Wilkins was mentioned, an opportunity to compete at the X, Chris Fink at the Z with Lawrence Keys. So it all seems to kind of fall into place a little bit.
And as he mentioned, at this point, it's kind of Austin and Young making a spot, Austin backing up Claypool, and then they need to find some more from that group. That's what the spring is for. Just look at the weights and everything. Braden Lenzy gained 14 pounds. Lawrence Keys didn't really gain anything, but Lawrence Keys certainly was way ahead of Braden Lenzy in the middle of August when we were watching practice last year. Those are the people that obviously fans want to watch. They're two of the quicker guys on the team, but I think it's going to be going into August, they're going to trust Austin and Young, and then hopefully they can get something from the youngsters. And we always forget to mention Micah Jones, but that's because he's a different body type, and they have that body type.
And he would definitely be at the W with his size. No surprise, Brian Kelly mentioning that the linebacker positions are really kind of wide open, and they're going to mix and match and give opportunities to guys. There's not a lot of playing experience there with Tranquil and Coney out. He did confirm, as we've been reporting for several weeks now, that Asmar Bilal will move from the Rover to the Buck linebacker, but it's wide open there, and it really should be. I mean, I think it gives these guys an opportunity. It's their turn now. You want the position. It's spring football. It's time to step forward.
I think if it's the chief concern I would have, and mentioned that McGlinchey and Nelson was the buzzword. How are you going to replace those guys? Coney and Tranquil, it might be harder in terms of what they have in relief, and it's going to take all of spring and probably all of summer, but I just go back to this time last year. We had a very high opinion of John Jones, and now he's a senior. I would think he would take this opportunity and run with it, but he just didn't play enough last year to think that he's that far ahead of the young guys. But I would assume that we see him starting off tomorrow as a starting Mike, and I would guess he will hold it through the spring.
Brian Kelly mentioned Robert Hainsey and Liam Eichenberg stepping forward, in particular with Tommy Kramer along the offensive line in terms of leadership. And at safety, they do want to get some other people in there. Plenty of reps this spring for Derek Ellen, Paul Mawala. Sounds like Alohi Gilman may be a little bit limited, or they will protect him, I think was the term that he used. We know what he knows what Alohi Gilman can do. So it'll be interesting. A lot of competition on the defensive side of the football, certainly a running back and obviously a receiver. We now don't have to completely speculate anymore. We'll be at practice and have the opportunity to be at practice on Saturday and then be back with our podcast on Monday. Thanks for joining us.